What do you get when pilots call someone a madman? You get a test pilot. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the realm of secrets. Today we're talking about those brilliant madmen among us, the people who push the limits of human capability, and one of them was American test pilot Major Robert White. Even though his story is fascinating on its own, what interests us even more is what he saw during his flight on the edge of space, and what the onboard cameras managed to capture. This is the first video in a new series I will be releasing under the title, The Greatest Secrets. So if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do now. And the story simply has to begin with Robert White, his first flight to the edge of space, and his very first encounter. The X-15 aircraft was built for one purpose only, to break speed and altitude records during the 1960s. To this day, it remains the fastest manned-powered, winged aircraft ever flown, reaching 4,520 miles per hour on October 3, 1967, flown by test pilot William Pete Knight. Among the dozen pilots in the X-15 program, a handful flew high enough to qualify for astronaut status under U.S. criteria, achieving altitudes above 50 miles. Yet today, the widely accepted boundary of space is the Kármán line at about 62 miles, the point where weightlessness truly begins. In the summer of 1962, test pilot Robert White took off from Edwards Air Force Base in California, carried under the wing of a B-52 bomber. This air launch saved fuel and allowed the X-15 rocket plane to reach extreme speeds and altitudes. At release, the X-15 was at roughly 45,000 feet and traveling around 500 miles per hour. Then the powerful XLR-99 rocket engine fired, producing up to 57,000 pounds of thrust and burning for about 80 to 90 seconds, propelling the aircraft on a steep climb toward the edge of space. Flying the X-15 was one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. Dozens of mechanical failures and incidents injured pilots, and in 1967, Michael Adams tragically lost his life when his X-15 entered an uncontrolled spin during a high-speed dive. It took extraordinary courage to sit in a machine like this. Robert White's mission was to reach a record-breaking altitude no pilot had ever achieved. He pointed the nose of the aircraft skyward and began his ascent, entering near-space conditions that only a handful of humans had ever experienced. After the rocket engine burned out, Robert White's X-15 coasted upward. On July 17, 1962, he reached an astonishing 314,750 feet, nearly 59.6 miles above Earth, setting a new altitude record. That altitude qualified him for Air Force astronaut wings, making him the first winged astronaut. At that altitude, the aircraft behaved less like a plane and more like a space capsule. White was entering territory that only a handful of humans had ever experienced up to that point. At the peak of his climb, he experienced 3 minutes of weightlessness and looked out through his small window into the darkness of space itself. And then, breaking the tense silence over the radio, he spoke with excitement. "There's something up here. There's absolutely something up here." At first, Robert White noticed tiny particles floating past his window and assumed they were just fuel residue. But then, as he glanced to his left, he saw something extraordinary, an object about the size of his hand shaped like a piece of paper, hovering just 30 feet away from the aircraft. It was a white-gray color, and he had a clear view of it for a full 5 seconds before it drifted away and vanished. Robert White confirmed this remarkable testimony in an interview with Life magazine shortly after the flight. I'll put the link in the description to that magazine issue so you can read the entire interview if you like. What makes this encounter so fascinating is that it wasn't a typical UFO. It was something entirely different, something completely unknown at the time. Just a few months earlier, pilot John Walker, flying the same aircraft at a lower altitude, reportedly encountered 6 cylindrical and spherical objects near his X-15. Classic UFO shapes. You have to remember all of this happened barely a year after Yuri Gagarin became the first human to orbit the Earth, at a time when humanity was only just beginning to explore space. So why didn't I start with John Walker and his encounter with 6 unidentified objects? Why begin with Major White and that strange, hand-sized white-gray object drifting just 30 feet from his cockpit? Maybe because this was the first encounter with something completely new, something that didn't fit the typical UFO patterns of the time, something far more important for what comes next in this series. What does space near Earth really look like? And why do NASA and other space agencies allegedly fake or alter their footage and photographs? Some of you are already getting close. In fact, I'm sure a few of you watching right now are very close to guessing exactly where this is going. Compared to what's coming in the next video, classic UFOs are child's play. But let's go back for a moment to what Robert White saw that day. An object like a small sheet of paper, hand-sized, white-gray in color, moving with purpose. Remember, these were the very early days of human space travel. There was no space debris yet, nothing that could be mistaken for what he saw. And let's be honest, this man wouldn't be confused. He knew exactly what he was looking at. So, what could it have been? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Even those of you who think you already know, you'll still be surprised by what's coming in the next video. Thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed this true story, don't forget to hit that like and share this video. And yes, this was just a warm-up for the much bigger things coming next. Until next time, stay curious, and remember, you're here on the Realm of Secrets channel, where the truth is out there, somewhere around us. Until then, see you in the next video.